Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans, we know the importance of this one. The Titans, they have to win to maintain that number one seed. When you get that number one seed, you get a bye. If you get a bye, that gives Derrick Henry an extra week to practice, to get in game shape, to get feeling better, and to get back in there for this Tennessee Titans team. One extra week for Julio Jones to tell you that he feels 100% and then run 14 routes and leave the game with a hamstring injury. So that's what we are with this Tennessee Titans team. Houston Texans have been spunky, and they're catching 10.5 here at home against this Titans team, 42.5, 43. They actually have, listen, I'm going to sit here and be the first one to say I was laughing at the Davis Mills pick. If we were ranking the rookie quarterbacks right now, Davis Mills might be third.
He ain't last.
If we were ranking, yeah, I mean, and so look, I was laughing at him. He's played pretty well. They have an actual NFL player on that team in Brandon Cooks. And, look, 10.5, I don't think is the craziest thing in the world. And the Texans, this could be a Super Bowl for them, right? I mean, knock the Titans out of the number one seed. That might be just enough to kind of make them feel good about the season. Brad, listen, I think we've been very fair with our assessment of the Titans, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, when fully healthy, the Titans could certainly pose a danger to a lot of teams. They're not totally healthy right now, so we've been kind of adjusting our view on this team throughout like each and every week, because a part will come in, a part will come out, a part will come in, a part will come out. This current version of the Titans, do they cover 11 points on the Texans on the road?
Not sure. I think the number's fair. I do think the Titans are getting disrespected in the futures market because they have been. I think they've used the most players in the AFC this year, like 88 or 90 players, something ridiculous. The offensive line's been banged up, the defensive backs been banged up, receivers, running backs, like everything has been hurt this year, and they're still the one seed. So I mean, I did bet some 12-1 for the Super Bowl earlier this week, just because I think that defense is legit. I've been banging on about that defensive line, but I think they're superb. You saw what they did to the Dolphins last week, just demolished them. And they're probably going to do the same to Houston here. This is, the Houston offensive line, 28th in pass block win rate. So, I think Davis Mills is going to be under siege because you're obviously going to get the best effort. So, yeah, I'd go back a little bit of 12-1 for the Super Bowl, which, you're basically back in the money line here. And then you get your first round bye next week as well. So that'd be the way to play this if you want to have an interest here. Yeah,
I actually dabbled, I think, a little bit on I dabbled a little bit on the Super Bowl with the Titans as well, strictly based off the number one seeding thing here. And further, I think on an AFC side of things, the range of outcomes is so incredibly wide that, I'll take a team at 12-1 that does get the free win whenever I don't think that there's just a full on dominant team kind of in that conference or whatever. Steven, again, they're going to need 11 points in this one. And I know you're probably looking at maybe just an awards market as opposed to a bet on this game.
I am, yeah. If I'm not the only one. If you've been on sports betting social media this week, this has been a popular take, and the odds have come down slightly. But Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year, is the third choice. I got him at plus 350. I think there's still some plus 300s out there. As you guys mentioned, the one seed with a win this week, despite having a record number of players having to play in games this year since that they started keeping track of that stat in the early 90s. All of those challenges, all those guys out, and they beat the Chiefs, the Bills, the Colts twice, and the Rams this year. So the other two favorites in the market for Coach of the Year, Matt LaFleur and Zach Taylor, who are these voters going to give credit for the Packers and the Bengals' successful seasons this year? It ain't Matt LaFleur, it ain't Zach Taylor. If I had to guess, they're going to give the credit to Aaron Rodgers, who's probably going to win MVP, and Joe Burrow, who's just gone scorched earth in recent weeks. So, I mean, I don't think there is a coach who has done a better job in the NFL, given what he's had to deal with, than Mike Vrabel. I think the voters will see that, even though I give NFL voters the least credit of any in major sports. And I think you're getting great value here as the third choice in the market.
Yeah, and the other thing I think, just kind of for me to add on here, The other two guys that are ahead of him in the coach of the year thing, and I mean, look, we know sometimes recency bias can play a factor in these deals. It's two teams that have nothing to play for. Mm-hmm. So you already know Cincinnati is sitting players this week. We assume that the Packers are going to sit players come halftime in that game this week, where you're going to get the Titans most likely, for 4 quarters here, where they want to ensure that number 1 seed as well. So the two guys that have odds that are shorter than Vrabel out there, they are manning two teams that do not have to win this week.
100%. So I'm very thankful that Mike Vrabel in this market has given me the chance to bail out my horrendously bad early season bet on Brandon Staley to win Coach of the Year. So thank you very much, market gods, for helping me there, because the volatility of him going for 4th down and talking about analytics on social media, we saw the opposite side of the coin here in the second half of the season.